If I told you the pyramids were never meant to be tombs, and that deep under Egypt's sand sleeps evidence of a civilization not from Earth but from somewhere much older, much stranger, and much closer than the stars, you'd probably think you know the truth. But what if the truth was waiting for someone brave enough to look again? For thousands of years, the Great Pyramids have stood as the oldest, most silent witnesses of human history, monuments that outlived empires, kings, oceans of sand, and even the memory of the people who once watched them rise. But every generation, someone in America sits awake at 3 in the morning, staring at the glowing screen of some late-night documentary or obscure forum post, whispering a question they're almost scared to ask. What if the Egyptians didn't build them alone? It's a question mocked by scholars, dismissed by archaeologists, ignored by governments. Yet it keeps returning like a shadow stretching across time. Because deep down, people sense something, or something too flawless, too precise, too perfectly impossible. The story I'm about to tell you doesn't come from museums or textbooks. It comes from leaked interviews, translated papyrus fragments, military whistleblowers, and the last message of a dying American engineer who claimed he saw something beneath the Giza plateau that shook him to his core. Whether you believe it or not, that part is up to you. This story begins not in Egypt, but in Virginia, inside a worn, grey office at Langley. In 1998, a man named Thomas Barrett, a mid-level systems engineer contracted with the Department of Defense, was investigating seismic echo anomalies. His job was simple: locate hidden underground structures, enemy bunkers, supply caches, missile silos. Nothing unusual, nothing exotic, until the day an unusual report crossed his desk. Satellite sensors had picked up a low frequency hum beneath the Giza plateau. Not an earthquake, not a subway, not machinery, a hum, rhythmic, constant, patterned, like it was communicating. The model said it originated nearly 600 feet beneath the pyramids, in a zone that, according to every archaeological map, should have been solid limestone. Barrett thought it was a glitch, a sensor error, a software bug. But the readings wouldn't stop. They continued for 72 hours, then 7 days, then 2 weeks. Something was humming in the dark. Far below the Earth's oldest stone monument, the report was quietly classified. Barrett was instructed to forget it. He did. Months later, he was flown to Egypt under a cultural preservation cover. No one said the word alien. No one said the word extraterrestrial. The Americans simply partnered with a select group of Egyptian officials who seemed unusually calm about the situation, as if they weren't surprised. Barrett's first night in Egypt was warm, the kind of dry heat that makes the air vibrate. He arrived at the pyramid under cover of night, passing guards dressed like simple site workers, but carrying military-grade rifles. He noticed the silence: no tourists, no guides, not even the usual distant chatter of the local markets, just the wind pushing sand against the stone like whispered warnings. An Egyptian archaeologist named Dr. Zara Hallam met him there. She was calm. Too calm, he later said, like she already knew what he was about to find. "We've been expecting you," she told him, without introducing her title or rank. The hum has started again. Barrett froze again. He hadn't even asked the question. Dr. Zara led him through a narrow passageway that tourists never saw, a descending shaft carved with symbols unlike any hieroglyphs Barrett recognized. These weren't depictions of gods or kings. They looked more like star maps, or smooth lines arranged with engineering precision. Some of them even looked like circuits. The deeper they walked, the colder the air became unnaturally cold. Barrett noted condensation forming on the walls, even though they were deep inside one of the hottest deserts on Earth. As he touched the stone, it vibrated faintly under his fingertips, a resonance. Like a hidden engine at the bottom of the shaft, an enormous sealed door waited. It was made of basalt, but smoother than modern machine-polished metal. No seams, no handles, no hinges. Barrett had no idea how it opened. Dr. Zara pressed her palm to a small indentation in the wall. A soft chime echoed. Barrett stepped back, and the door dissolved, not slid, not opened, dissolved particle by particle, like dust blowing away. Behind the door lay a chamber larger than any Barrett had ever seen below ground. It was perfectly spherical, maybe 200 feet wide. The walls glowed faintly with a bluish hue, though no lamps or wiring were visible. Floating in the center of the room, unsupported by any structure, was an obsidian black cube. About the size of a car, it pulsed with the same rhythmic hum Barrett had detected from space. He stared, unable to breathe. "What is that?" he whispered. Dr. Zara didn't answer. Instead, she pointed toward the walls. Embedded into the stone were carvings, impressions of tall, elongated beings with narrow arms, long skulls, and eyes shaped like teardrops. But there was one difference from the typical alien drawings people argue about online. These figures weren't towering giants. They were slender, human-sized, graceful, and standing side by side with Egyptians, not ruling over them, not enslaving them, standing with them, partners. Barrett realized then why the Egyptians were so calm. Their entire culture was built on these beings. Not gods, not myths. Partners. The hum grew louder. The cube rotated slowly in the air, casting strange shadows. And then Barrett saw something impossible. Reflections inside the cube, like windows revealing another place entirely. Mountains under two suns. Rivers glowing like molten silver. Structures spiraling upward in impossible curves. "Is that another planet?" he asked. Dr. Zara answered quietly. "It's not a planet. It's a memory for the next 3 hours." Barrett listened as she explained a story passed down secretly among a very small number of Egyptian scholars, a story never recorded in public texts, never spoken in temples, never shared with conquerors. Thousands of years before the first pharaoh. A craft, if one could even call it, that descended over the Nile. Not a ship made of metal, but a construct made of something like liquid stone, fluid until it touched the ground and froze. From it emerged a group of beings who were not divine but dying. Their world was collapsing. Their species was on the edge of extinction. They weren't searching for worshippers, they were searching for collaborators. A species young enough to learn, old enough to cooperate, and adaptable enough to carry a legacy. Humans, the beings, taught the early Egyptians how to cut stone, not with tools, but with resonance stones that made rocks fracture like glass. They showed them how to lift blocks by reducing their mass temporarily through harmonic fields. They taught them mathematics based on cycles of the stars, because their own technology depended on celestial alignment. The pyramids weren't tombs, they were machines. Massive stabilizers designed to anchor something beneath the earth, a power source, or a prison, or maybe both. Barrett's voice shook. "What does the cube do?" Dr. Zara looked exhausted, as if carrying centuries of unspoken truth. "It stores minds," she said. "Their minds, their memories, Their warnings. Barrett approached the cube. As he touched it, images flooded his mind deserts under alien skies. Shimmering cities built of sound, the collapse of oceans as planets shifted out of orbit. Desperate beings encoding their knowledge into black cubes before their world fractured into dust. Barrett ripped his hand back, gasping, trembling. Dr. Zara steadied him. Now you understand why they came to Earth, but the cube wasn't stable. The hum grew louder, harsher, irregular. Something was wrong. The power source is weakening, she said. And if it dies, their memories go with it. Barrett asked what they wanted him to do. Dr. Zara explained that only someone with training in electromagnetic resonance like him could repair the harmonic stabilizers buried within the pyramid's stone layers. He insisted he wasn't qualified. She insisted he was the only chance, and so Barrett worked. For days he remained underground, adjusting the hidden harmonic channels carved into the wall's channels modern archaeology had never discovered, because they weren't visible. They were encoded within the stone's molecular alignment. Nights blurred together. Time lost meaning. But something happened as the cube grew more stable. It began showing Barrett visions, flashes, not of alien worlds, but of Earth's future. Cities drowned by rising seas. Skies darkened by storms that lasted months. Humanity divided by fear. Technology spiraling out of control. The planet choking under its own progress. The beings hadn't come to Earth to rule. They came to warn. And the pyramids were built to preserve that warning until humanity was advanced enough to understand. One night, after a week underground, Barrett noticed something new. The cube no longer showed alien landscapes. It showed him Thomas Barrett standing inside the chamber, working tirelessly, almost like it was, watching him, learning him. Then he saw something even stranger, a future vision of himself collapsing beside the cube, exhausted, while a group of Egyptian guards rushed toward him, shouting words he couldn't understand. He stumbled back from the cube in terror. The next morning, the guards found him unconscious on the floor. He had no memory of collapsing, no memory of the night before. But as they helped him stand, Barrett saw something etched in the sand, near the cube letters scratched by a shaking hand. It was his handwriting. 2 words, not safe. He asked Dr. Zara what it meant. She didn't answer. Instead, she guided him into another chamber, one deeper than the first, one she said only a handful of people had ever seen. Inside was a massive stone sarcophagus, not for a king, but for something else. The lid was carved with the silhouette of a being with elongated limbs and a cracked skull. It died here, Dr. Zara whispered. After the transfer failed, Barrett felt his blood freeze. Transfer. She nodded. They tried to store their minds, but one resisted. It didn't want to leave its body. It ruptured the chamber. The event created the first hum. Barrett realized then, the hum wasn't a signal. It was a heartbeat. The last heartbeat of a being trapped between life and memory. He wanted to quit, leave, go back home. But the cube wasn't done with him. Every time he tried to leave the plateau, the hum grew louder, like it was calling him back, asking for help, or demanding it. Barrett stayed because he feared what would happen if he didn't. Weeks passed. He repaired stabilizers, restored resonant fields, synchronized the pyramid's internal geometry with celestial alignment charts older than Egyptian civilization. But the more he worked, the more the cube synchronized with him. The visions grew sharper, clearer, more personal. He saw a future where humanity encountered a threat, something from space, something enormous, something ancient. He never saw the full picture, only hints, a shadow eclipsing the moon, oceans boiling, signals pulsing from the void. One night, the cube showed him Earth splitting open like an egg. He screamed for hours. Dr. Zara finally told him the truth. The beings didn't come because their world died. They came because something destroyed it. The pyramids weren't warnings. They were shields, anchoring points designed to protect Earth from the same force, and the power source was dying. Barrett worked until his hands bled, until his eyes blurred, until he collapsed again. But this time, he didn't wake up underground. He woke up in a military hospital in Cairo, with 2 American agents standing over him. They told him his contract was terminated. They told him to forget everything. They told him he had suffered heat exhaustion and hallucinations. They told him the underground chambers didn't exist. They told him Dr. Zara never lived. But Barrett kept remembering, especially the last thing the cube ever showed him, one final vision before he fell unconscious. Date, a year, a planetary alignment, and a shadow approaching. Earth. He wrote everything down in a notebook. For years he warned anyone who would listen. No one believed him. His notes were dismissed as delusions, his charts labeled paranoid scribbles. His final message, recorded before his death, was released anonymously online. Most people scroll past it, calling it fiction, but his voice, shaking, tired, terrified, says one thing with absolute certainty: the pyramids aren't monuments. They're the locks on a door we were never meant to open. And something on the other side is turning the handle. The recording ends there. No explanation, no follow, dash up. No evidence, no evidence. Just silence. And yet, in the last decade, the hum beneath the Giza plateau has returned. Seismologists claim it's natural vibration. Archaeologists say it's nonsense. Governments deny everything, but the hum continues. Late at night, tourists swear they feel the ground tremble. Researchers report magnetic anomalies along the pyramid's edges. And a few whisper that every time the stars align a certain way, the stones themselves seem to vibrate, like something beneath them is waking up. Maybe Barrett was delusional. Maybe he imagined everything. Maybe the pyramids really are just tombs. Or maybe Egypt wasn't the birthplace of civilization. Maybe it was the last refuge of something far older. And maybe humanity isn't the first species to fear the dark sky above us, because if the beings who helped build the pyramids were hiding from something, what makes you think we're safe from it now?